I mean, we would go to his concerts, like, when I was, like, 6 or 7. I remember, and they were, like, awesome.
All eyes have always been on the illustrious Jackson family whenever Paris Jackson is mentioned, but new information has cast doubt on her actual family tree. How can we know that Michael Jackson is not her biological father? How does her desire to sever all relations with the family relate to Paris's struggles with self-discovery and familial legacy? See what happens when we discover it. A lot has happened recently for Paris Jackson, the daughter of the most famous modern artist in the world. Michael is not her biological father, according to the findings of a DNA test that she disclosed. But we need to know why she took the exam first, so we can grasp the seriousness of the problem. A few decades into Michael's youth, we are transported here. You are well aware of the Jackson family's exceptional heritage and the fact that it has been associated with musical prowess for many years. A symbol of achievement in the entertainment business on a worldwide scale, they sprang from modest origins. King of pop Michael Jackson was in the middle of it all. His astronomical fame cemented the Jackson family's place in pop culture. The extraordinary Jackson family tree begins in Gary, Indiana, a little industrial town. Joe Jackson, the patriarch, and Catherine Jackson, the matriarch, produced a brood of 9 children. A former steel mill worker named Joe Jackson had a revelation when he heard his children sing. It was under his stern tutelage that the Jackson 5 were formed: the eldest Michael, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, and Jackie. Their contagious fusion of pop, soul, and R&B propelled the Jackson 5 to stardom in the 60s. Hits like I Want You Back, ABC, I'll Be There, and The Love You Save followed the group's debut single, which catapulted them to the top of the charts. The Jacksons' meteoric rise to fame paved the way for solo careers and further cemented their impact on music fans and performers alike. In the Jackson family, Michael stood out as the most remarkable sibling. People were enthralled by Michael's charm and singing ability, even when he was a young singer with the Jackson 5. But he became famous like never before because to his own work. With 1979's Off the Wall, he officially became a solo artist. He became a worldwide success with the release of songs like Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You. And then in 1982 there was Thriller, an album that changed music forever and is still the best-selling record of all time. Michael King reimagined the music video as an art form with his breakthrough work for songs like Billie Jean, Beat It, and Thriller. As the years went by, Michael continued to release albums that showcased his innovative but authentic style. The legendary status of his performances was attested to by his distinctive moonwalk and unmatched charisma. But there were many obstacles in his life, such as anxieties, contentious accusations, and constant media attention that he had to overcome despite his achievements. Family relationships, the intricate tie that existed under the surface of their public achievement, were also influential. Familial relationships and celebrity were complicated for the Jackson family. Relationships with Michael's siblings were fraught with both love and conflict. Their shared history and cooperation forged a strong bond. But Michael's extraordinary fame, along with jealousy and rivalry, sometimes led to tensions. Everyone respected and feared Joe Jackson, the ambitious and dictatorial head of the family. Michael and other youngsters recalled the mental and physical toll that his relentless pursuit of perfection had on them when they were under his instruction. On the other hand, Catherine brought stability to the family by being a loving presence who balanced the chaos with her unwavering faith and compassion. Through it all, the family stayed close, bonding over shared hardships and victories. As a musical dynasty, the Jacksons were able to pull together as a unit and support one another through thick and thin. The 3 children of Michael Jackson, Prince, Paris, and Blanket, who is now known as Biggie, came into their own as the next generation took up the torch. They became the center of attention following Michael's tragic death in 2009. In Beverly Hills, California, on April 3, 1998, the legendary Michael Jackson and Debbie Rowe welcomed their second child, a girl named Michael Catherine Jackson. Her life was cut out for greatness. By this point in his career, Michael had become a household name throughout the world. He met Debbie, a dermatologist and nurse, when he was undergoing treatment for vitiligo, and the two of them became an unlikely family. The French metropolis was chosen for its symbolic significance to Michael, who has frequently gushed over Paris as one of his most beloved cities on earth. In recognition of Michael's mother, a pivotal position in the Jackson family, she was given the middle name Catherine. Due to her famous father, Paris's birth was surrounded by public interest and heavy media coverage, creating an atmosphere of great anticipation for her arrival. Right from the beginning, Michael welcomed her, and he frequently spoke about how much he loved his children. Michael was left to care for Paris alone when Debbie gave up custody not long after she was born. Despite his fame and the fact that he was a single parent, Michael worked hard to provide a warm and caring home for his children. The Neverland Ranch, Michael's expansive mansion in Los Angeles, California, was where Paris spent her early years. The ranch, which Michael had envisioned as a haven for the perfect childhood he had never had, was really named after the fantastical land in Peter Pan. A zoo, beautiful gardens, and thrilling amusement park rides, Neverland was a fantastical paradise for Paris and her brothers. By often planning parties, treasure hunts, and activities at the estate, Michael made sure his children enjoyed a carefree and miraculous childhood. A lifelong appreciation for nature was planted in Paris's spirit when she and her siblings had the opportunity to see exotic creatures at the zoo. A haven from the outer world, the ranch served as more than simply a residence. It was an ethereal sanctuary. Importantly, Paris spent her childhood apart from her father's renown at Neverland. Even though they lived in a lavish mansion, Michael taught her to be humble, kind, and creative. He would frequently dedicate his time to Paris, her brothers, and pushing them to pursue their musical skills via lessons. A strong relationship formed between Paris and her father, whom she went on to describe in interviews as an inspiration and the most generous and caring person she had ever met. Therefore, why did she question his paternity? I promise we'll address that soon. There was no way for Michael to protect Paris and her siblings from the media's incessant interest in his life, no matter how much he tried. Michael frequently dressed his children in veils or masks for public appearances. There was a lot of interest and debate about this strange procedure, but Michael was certain it was for their protection. It was common for Paris to accompany her father on his first public engagements. She may have been young, but the paparazzi were determined to have a photo op with the Jackson kids whenever they could. Michael handpicked these visits because he knew how much his popularity would burden them. Most notably, there was the day in Berlin when he famously dangled Paris's younger brother Blanket over the edge of a hotel balcony. Paris was not directly involved in this episode, but it did show how the family was subjected to tremendous public and media scrutiny. Although bizarre, these appearances had a formative effect on Paris since they exposed her to the dynamics of celebrity at a young age. As time went on, Michael's offspring grew more identifiable, but their father made sure they had a regular life despite all that was happening to them. Paris came to a firm grasp of her singular place in the world during these formative years of public exposure, which were at times intimidating. A tragic event befell the Jackson family on June 25, 2009. Unfortunately, Michael succumbed to severe intoxication and died. When Paris's loving father passed away, she was just 11 years old. Her life took a dramatic shift when Michael passed away, catapulting her and her siblings into the limelight throughout the world. Paris and her brothers were placed under the legal guardianship of their grandmother Catherine after Michael passed away. In order to be closer to extended family, they relocated to the Jackson home in Calabasas, California. Despite Catherine's affection and security, the kids nonetheless felt a lot of shift when they went from Neverland to their more conventional home. Paris had a really difficult time emotionally when her father passed away. She said it was like losing a father and the one person who ever understood her. Despite being overcome with sadness, Paris was incredibly strong during Michael's public funeral. She rose to the microphone, her robe a veil of blackness, and addressed the audience via her clearly distraught speech. "My dad has been an incredible father to me from the moment I was born, and I want you to know how much I love him." Millions of people were moved by her touching comments, which revealed a special connection she had with her father. As a result, Paris turned to her siblings for comfort, especially her close-knit elder brother Prince. As a unit, they overcame their loss and adjusted to their new circumstances. Quickly adapting to the increased scrutiny due to her last name, Paris learned to thrive in the face of relentless media attention. Following in her father's footsteps and living according to his lessons was her way of paying tribute to his legacy. As she grew into adolescence, she attended a private school and re-established contact with her biological mother, Debbie Rowe, all while navigating the identity crisis that had gripped her since childhood. Bit by bit, Paris was able to put the pieces of her life back together. Little Paris and her brothers Prince and Biggie are very close. Following their father's sudden death in 2009, the siblings grew even more dependent on one another, having grown up under his care in a special atmosphere that encouraged togetherness and mutual support. The fact that they have grown to rely on one another in many ways is something Prince has frequently brought up while discussing their tight bond. Their unvarnished and direct friendship, he said, is a reflection of the special understanding they have for one another as a result of their same experiences. The siblings' solidarity has been on display through their infrequent joint public appearances. They were there on opening night for the London production of MJ the Musical, which was about their father, in March 2024. This was Paris, her brothers, and Prince's first red carpet appearance together, although Paris has spoken highly of her siblings, calling Prince my twin, and saying that he is very inspirational. Their closeness as a family, formed through their common experiences, seems to be helping Paris through this difficult time. Numerous cousins, aunts, and uncles round out the Jackson family, which has a long history of success in show business. Because of the complications that come with having a prestigious family line, Paris has had trouble communicating with her relatives. Though she keeps quiet about her personal relationships with family members, she is regularly seen at family gatherings and activities, which suggests she has strong ties to her family. The members of the family have probably become closer and more understanding of one another as a result of their shared experiences in the spotlight. When Paris and Prince's uncle Tito Jackson died in September 2024 at the age of 70, they openly grieved his passing. Prince tweeted a family photo declaring their undying love for their uncle, while Paris offered a tearjerker with a touching caption. Seeing the family's anguish on display like this highlights how strong the family ties are. Paradoxically, the Jacksons have been both Paris's rock and her Achilles heel. Despite the turmoil in their family life, Paris and her brothers were able to find solace in the fact that their grandmother had been appointed guardian after Michael's death. But there have been fights inside the family, and some of them have spilled out into the open. Reportedly, Paris and her brother Prince had a falling out in 2013, which happened around the time when Paris was going through a lot of personal problems. Despite everything, the siblings have shown remarkable resilience by sticking together and helping one another out. Paris has also been touched by the many public disagreements and scandals that the Jackson family has been a part of, as one might expect. Dealing with these family issues while being the center of public attention has tested Paris's mettle and changed her view of loyalty and family. The dynamic between Paris and her biological mother changed with time, and this may be the primary reason why. When Debbie and Michael's marriage ended in divorce in 1999, Paris, who was a teenager at the time, had little contact with her mother. At 15 years old, though, Paris made an effort to get in touch with Debbie again, hoping to start mending their broken relationship. Even as a child, Paris Jackson had to deal with difficulties that most people could only dream about. No one could have possibly handled the immense burden of being the daughter of the most renowned artist in the world. Even though her father took precautions to shield her, she was nonetheless subject to intense media attention. When asked about her parents, Paris always cited Michael as the most nurturing and supportive figure in her life. The loss was devastating and confusing for the little girl whose life had been centered on him. His passing created an irreparable hole in her existence. When Paris was a teenager, she started to feel the effects of anxiety and sadness. Feelings of emotional instability were a result of the depth of her loss and the expectations placed on her as a Jackson child. In her early adolescence, Paris struggled with intense emotions of isolation and misery. By the time she was in her mid-teens, she had already tried suicide many times. Later, in an interview, she spoke about the difficult times she had, saying that she had doubts about her ability to live to be 18. Her road to recovery included mental health care and therapy, which helped her develop coping mechanisms for dealing with difficult emotions and situations. Paris has made it her mission to promote open dialogue about mental health in an effort to lessen the stigma that surrounds it. Problems with substances plagued her own teen years and early adulthood. She came to realize later that she felt totally cut off from herself, her loved ones, and her hobbies throughout this dismal period of her life. Past week, Paris celebrated a major milestone: 5 years sober. An emotional Instagram post detailed her rehabilitation from addiction and included a video montage of her experiences. Featuring her own music in the backdrop, the candid film chronicled her challenges, triumphs, and the support structure that enabled her to persevere. In addition to being an inspiring message of hope and perseverance to those going through tough times, the film served as a vehicle for profound introspection. "You should know that you are deserving of love and support," as she put it in her message. "The race is long, not short." A strong support system of loved ones, therapy, and artistic pursuits were crucial to Paris's recovery, as she has publicly recognized. She finds balance via yoga and meditation, and she uses music as an outlet for her emotions. Finding happiness and meaning in life is important, according to Paris's interviews, since it can help counteract harmful inclinations. Many have praised her courage and seen her transparency as vital in a culture that still stigmatizes addiction. Amidst the pain and loss that consumed Paris Jackson's formative years, she discovered her true passion via her artistic endeavors. Her father was a creative genius, and she followed in his footsteps by pursuing her passions in the entertainment industries, creating her own distinct personality in the process. All of Paris's journeys have revolved around music. Critically acclaimed soulful indie folk project Wilted, her 2020 debut album, was released to great reviews. Her ability to craft songs that combine ethereal melodies with honest, emotionally raw lyrics was validated on this album. Contrasted with her father's energetic pop singles, Paris's music reflects her own personal achievements and tragedies with a very reflective tone. As Paris demonstrated her own artistic voice with songs like Let Down, she received accolades for their eerie sensitivity. The capacity to connect with an audience and take charge of a stage is clearly inherited by Paris, and performing live became another outlet for her artistic expression. Even in the realm of haute couture, Paris has achieved great things. After signing with IMG Models, she shot to fame, appearing on the covers of important publications including Rolling Stone and Harper's Bazaar. Her outstanding good looks and boho style make her an ideal candidate for ads that combine high fashion with personal expression. Apart from all that, Paris has tried her hand at acting, making cameo appearances in films like Gringo, 2018, a dark comedy in which she coexisted with other industry giants. While acting has not been her exclusive emphasis, Paris is always looking for new ways to express herself creatively, and she is adding acting to her already impressive resume. All of this may seem ideal, but being famous isn't without its difficulties. With the media analyzing her every move, photographers following her outings, tabloid headlines sensationalizing her personal life, and internet forums speculating about her relationships and personal decisions, Paris has been both praised and ridiculed. By posting personal updates about her life, music, and activism for environmental and mental health causes on Instagram, Paris has faced this criticism head-on. She has established a loyal fan base because to the insightful, funny, and honest postings that showcase her personality. The French capital has nevertheless experienced popular outcry, especially in response to contentious debates. She has the ability to divide audiences with her candor about her father's complicated heritage and her defiance of societal norms. But Paris is still shameless about being herself, prioritizing honesty over conformity. Despite Paris's best attempts to carve herself an own identity outside from the Jackson name, the fact is that she will always be identified with her family's music. A yearning to know her roots and the fuel for inquiry led to the resurgence of rumors and ideas regarding her paternity throughout the years. A more in-depth exploration of her personal background was initiated by Paris, considering getting a DNA test became an inevitable byproduct of what began as an introspective study into her own biological background. As a result, a revelation would spark, which Paris had no idea would upset the public's view of her identity and reshape her position within the Jackson family. Many people with knowledge of the Jackson family have speculated that Paris Jackson tested her genetic makeup in an effort to learn more about her family history. An unexpected finding was reportedly verified by the results. Michael Jackson, the man she had always thought of as her father and who raised her, was not actually her biological parent. Rumor has it that the DNA test revealed something very unexpected. Rumored to have been present when she received the letter, her brother Prince was reportedly the first to hear the news. They say the image is heartbreaking. As one might expect from such a stunned child, Paris spent about 15 minutes hiding her lips and sobbing before she eventually said, "My real father is Mark Lester." How on earth is it possible that this is accurate? According to Prince, Paris Jackson would cut all links if DNA tests proved Michael was not her biological father. He went on to say that Paris is devastated that no one ever told her the truth, not even after Michael died. Yet, I'm willing to assume that you're also curious about her biological father, an actor whose breakout performance was in the 1968 picture Oliver. Is Mark Lester and the Jackson family have deep roots? The two became quite close in the 1980s, and Lester became Michael's valued confidant as their friendship blossomed. Even in the family they were close. On several instances, Mark's and Michael's children played together. Although rumors about Mark's possible relationship with Paris were not new, the revelations took on more significance in this setting because Mark had previously hinted at the possibility in interviews, saying that he had once been a famous sperm donor for Michael due to their shared friendship and Michael's desire to start a family. The results apparently left Paris feeling both frightened and determined. Because Michael has always been her father in every proper sense, the results raised difficult concerns regarding her identity, her heritage, and her familial connections. Rather than seeing the findings as a betrayal, Paris's close friends said she saw them as a chance to rethink who she was. Rumor has it that she sought solace in isolation on a personal retreat in order to deal with the ramifications, reconciling her feelings with her profound respect for her late father. Paris reportedly opted to gracefully handle the news rather than loudly criticize it. Her close associates said she remained silent for the time being, treating the situation with the dignity it deserved, as she sought solace in her own thoughts and feelings while paying tribute to Michael's memory. Although Michael's influence on Paris has not diminished, rumors have circulated that her relationship with other Jackson family members has begun to change. She allegedly cut herself apart from various family relationships due to the burden of unresolved issues, long-standing conflicts, and a rediscovered feeling of identity. Reports from those close to Paris indicate that she did not make this choice on the spur of the moment or out of malice, but rather out of a wish to break free from the familial ties that had impeded her own development. Supposedly, Paris has distanced herself from the limelight that linked her to the bigger Jackson name, yet she still has fondness for many family members. While allegedly privately providing support to Paris, Mark Lester chose not to speak publicly, opting instead to keep his distance. Nevertheless, we must admit that he will inevitably be forced to say something. In your opinion, will we now see them more frequently together? Please inform us by leaving a comment.